Are you having a hard time finding new true crime podcasts to listen to? If you're anything like me, picky with what you listen to, I have a podcast that I want to tell you about. It's called Tapes from the Darkside. That's tapes, like a cassette tape, which is hosted by TZ Borden. This is one of the few true crime podcasts that I listen to on a monthly basis. This podcast typically covers a single case each season that is bizarre in more than one way, and in depth at that. Each episode isn't just the host talking about the case, but it includes actual audio from the cases being covered. Currently, they're in their 11th season covering the Chandler Halderson case, whom is a 23-year-old who murdered and dismembered his parents in 2021. What I have today is a full episode of Tapes from the Darkside. That is the first episode of their new season, covering the Chandler Halderson case, which is titled Bard and Krista Go Missing. Tapes from the Darkside can be found on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or at their website, tapesfromthedarkside.com. If you enjoy the podcast, be sure to give them a good review and share it with your friends so others can enjoy the show as much as I do. Thank you.
Tapes from the Darkside contains descriptions of violence and sexuality. Listener discretion is advised.
Please hold. Hello, this is a free call from
Chandler Halderson.
an inmate from the Dane County Jail. To accept this free call, press 0. To refuse this free call, hang up or press 1. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink. Hello?
Hello? Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
good, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
It's really loud in your block.
Yeah, we got some new people. They're all shouting,
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I hope you're still their favorite. I'm sure you're the least problematic person.
Yep, that seems to be me.
My good boy.
I think I'm just boring.
I don't think you're boring. I just don't think you want to do anything bad.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah. It's kind of quiet.
So, what?
What is that?
I saw in my snap memories was 2 years ago today when we made our first snowman together, the one with the pumpkin head.
Oh, cool. That wasn't too big, was it?
It was pretty big. Like, at least up to my torso.
So it's today? 2 years ago?
2 years ago today, so when we first started dating in 2019.
Wow.
The one last year we made was pretty small.
Yeah, we made a little one that sat on that planter box.
Mhm.
I think, I remember that one with the pumpkin head.
Yeah, you made a little hat for it too.
That fell off right away. I think the pumpkin melted it. It's still a little bit warm.
Yeah. Carrot nose.
Yeah,
I miss those days.
me too.
I'm so bored without you.
Yeah, it's not very fun here either. Pretty bored all the time. But I've started drawing, and I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
I'm
What did you
writing
draw?
up.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Do you know those memes that are like, what she wants to hear? And it's those, like, phrases. Those, like,
Oh, yeah.
sappy phrase. I put that onto a picture. I like just random sappy shit. Or then some quotes that you and I used to use and shit like that,
No. Well, I hope you need all the sappy stuff. I like getting love letters.
I do.
Okay.
I love you.
You love me?
Yeah.
You promise? Because I'm not the only one who's still talking to you?
Pinky. And who's still
Yeah.
talking?
Huh?
What was that?
Because I'm the only one
because you're
still
the only
talking to
one. Oh, no.
you. Okay. You promise?
Promise.
Okay. Because I love you too. And I don't want to get played. I'm a big baby, I'll cry.
So I folded up all your clothes and made everything look nice in the bucket we have for you of your stuff.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
A jailhouse phone call, an interesting phenomenon in its own right. The prison industrial complex in the United States generates an estimated $1.3 billion a year in income from such phone calls. Yet in March of 2020, when the Dane County Jail stopped all in-person visitation due to the spread of the highly contagious COVID-19 virus, they implemented a policy in which every inmate was allotted 2 15-minute phone calls per day. In addition to this, you could also pay for phone calls, and the charges would vary based on the county the inmate was located in. A 15-minute call from Jefferson County runs about $1.80, while a call in Polk County would cost you $14.77, almost $1 a minute. No matter if it was free or charged, if you happen to be on the other end of a jailhouse phone call, you should be aware that this is not a normal phone call. That's because there's an inherent irony in these kinds of phone calls, like the one you just heard between Chandler and his girlfriend, Kat. And the irony is this: you're free to talk about any subject you like, except for the one that you most want to discuss, the alleged crime. This topic of discussion can put your case in immediate jeopardy, and discussing any intimate details of your case will be discouraged by nearly every defense attorney across the board. And that's because all jailhouse phone calls are recorded and reviewed by jail staff. And if any incriminating evidence happens to be discussed, it is then sent to the prosecutorial team to be used against you. So while Catherine Mellender was able to ask her boyfriend, Chandler, how his day was, what he ate for breakfast, and even their future plans together if he ever made it out of jail, she couldn't ask him the one question that was most on her mind. Did he kill and dismember his parents in July of 2021? And if he didn't, who did?
I think everyone has a bit of a fascination with the dark side. I myself have always loved the dark side as well. I think it's something that everyone secretly longs for and wants.
Blood, or there was blood everywhere. It was I felt kind of like he was looking through me, kind of like a glassy look.
The dark side, the dark side, the dark side, the dark side.
July 1st, 2021. It was the Thursday before a long 4th of July weekend. Most families already had plans to celebrate with friends, and soon to come would be a cacophony of backyard barbecue cookouts and fireworks. 4th of July would technically lie on a Sunday, and so many people would enjoy Monday the 5th off, or maybe Friday the 2nd, and for a lucky few, maybe both, giving them a 4-day extended weekend. It's on this day, July 1st, that 23-year-old Chandler Halderson says is the last time he saw his parents, Bart and Krista, before they disappeared. Chandler, who went by the name Chaz to his friends and family, had a full-time job working from home Monday through Friday as a cybersecurity expert for an insurance company. He had a set schedule to be up at 6 a.m. every day. He'd let the family dogs outside to do their business, and then he would prepare for work. And Friday, July 2nd, was exactly the same. Except that this day, when he got up at 6 a.m. to let the dogs out and begin his work-from-home routine, his parents were gone. But this wasn't exactly unusual. In fact, Chandler had helped them pack the night before. They were going on an impromptu weekend trip to their cabin, which was located in Lake County, about 3 hours north of Madison. A quick bit of geography. Madison is located in the southern part of Wisconsin, not far from the Wisconsin River, and in larger perspective, the town is only about an hour and 20 minutes west from Milwaukee, which is seated right on the Great Lake, Michigan. Krista and Bart Halderson said that they were going to be gone for the 4th of July holiday. They were taking Friday off, and even when Chandler saw that both their cars were still in the garage, he just assumed their friends had picked them up. He didn't think anything was out of order. Chandler went on to enjoy the holiday weekend with his girlfriend Catherine, who goes by the nickname Cat. It's the same young woman we heard in the opening phone call. Chandler and Cat went to Cat's family's house. They swam in their pool, they set off fireworks, they ate good food, and there really was no reason for concern. Except for one small detail. Krista was not one of those people who had off from work Friday or Monday. She worked customer service for a small auto body shop in Madison, and that shop only had a few people who worked in the front office. No more than one person at a time was allowed to take off, and because her coworker had requested Friday off and her manager had requested Monday off, Krista was stuck with the short end of the stick on this particular holiday. But this wasn't an issue for her. She would get her turn later in the year on another holiday, and in fact, she had scheduled a long weekend trip for the end of July. Krista wasn't the type of person to miss an unscheduled day of work. Even if she was running late, she always called ahead to let her boss know. That is, until July 2nd, when for the first time in her career, she no-called, no-showed.
Did you know a person by the name of Krista Halderson?
Yes, I did.
How did you know Krista?
Krista was one of my direct reports. She was our customer service representative. We had her under my employment for a little over 2 years.
Okay. Could you just very briefly, in a sentence or two, tell me about what Krista was like at work?
Krista was a very kind, warm customer service representative. She had a genuine concern for all of our customers on the phone and in person, treated everyone with empathy, and I had many compliments from the general public. Anyone who dealt with her went out of their way to tell me how great she was.
Could you please identify what Exhibit 541 is?
Yes, this was all of Krista's time off requests from January 1st of 2020 through December 31st, 2021.
Did Krista Halderson request to be off on July 2nd of 2021?
No, she did not.
Did she show up to work that day?
No, she did not.
Was that unusual for Mrs. Halderson?
Extremely unusual. Krista was very conscientious and would text me usually a couple hours ahead of any start time to let me know she would be late or not in that day.
And did Mrs. Halderson ask off for July 5th of 2021?
No, she did not. I had that day off. And
you had that day off.
Part of our process in our front office is that only one of us can have a day off. We can't have two people taking the same days off. So Dan Croninger took Friday, July 2nd off. I took Monday, July 5th off. And that would exclude anyone else from taking time off in the front office.
Did Krista show up for work, if you know, on July 5th, 2021?
No, she did not. It was my day off. I was concerned that she hadn't shown up on the Friday before. I went into work to see if she had come to work and if anyone had heard from her, even though it was my day off.
But again, no call, no show that day?
No call, no show. I texted her a little before 9 o'clock when it was apparent that she hadn't shown up. That text was never delivered.
Let's also hear briefly from another of Krista's coworkers, a man named Daniel Croninger, who worked with her in the front office of Zimbrick's Body Shop.
How were you employed in July of 2021?
At that time, I was a body shop estimator at Zimbrick Body Shop European.
And is that the location on Stoughton Road?
Yes.
In Madison, Dane County, Wisconsin?
Yes.
Did you know a coworker by the name of Krista Halderson?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe what was your relationship with Krista?
She was our customer service rep. So we worked together. I think I started there in September of 2019.
Okay. And did you become friends with Krista Halderson?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever go to her home?
Yes.
Did you meet her husband?
Yes.
Okay. Did you find out on July 2nd of 2021 that Krista no-called and no-showed into work?
Yes, that's correct.
How did you find that out?
I had the day off from work. We were supposed to close on a house, and I received a text from a couple coworkers asking if I'd heard from her.
Had you heard from her?
I had not.
Did she ever discuss with you in the last week of June, that first day in July, any plans to go to her cabin?
No.
What did you do in response to learning that Krista no-called, no-showed?
Initially, we were just my girlfriend and I were taking care of some stuff around the house. I received a second text, I think around 2:30 or so, of another coworker asking if I had heard from her. So around 4:35, 4:40 or so, we drove over to their house to see if I could get a hold of anyone.
What caused you to drive over to her house?
Just because it was weird for her to not show up to work, and I was living just a couple miles away at the time.
Okay. Did you in fact go to her house?
Yes.
And just so we're clear, that's the house on Oak Springs Circle in Windsor, Wisconsin?
Correct.
What'd you do once you got there?
Initially knocked on the door, no response, so I peered through the front door window, like the side light. I saw what appeared to be a table on its side. No response, then we went to the garage door, checked to see if the vehicles were there, which they were, and then at that point, Chandler came to the door.
Okay. And did you go into the house, talk outside, or something else?
We talked outside of the side garage door.
Okay. So tell me about your conversation with Chandler. What did he say?
When we arrived, it appeared he had just gotten out of the shower. I confirmed with him that his parents were not there, and then he had given us a story about how they had gone up north in an emergency to the cabin and went with a couple that he was not sure who they were. Just know that they were picked up early that day and would be gone for a couple of days.
Okay. Did he tell you what time his parents had left?
I know he had said that it was probably right, but he had not been waken up yet, so it was something early. He heard them leaving, is what he told me.
And other than Chandler just getting out of the shower, was there anything else unusual about his appearance?
He had a bandage on his large toe. Not sure which side it was, but he had a bandage on one of his toes.
Did he say anything about his foot?
He said that he had broken the glass around the fireplace while playing with the dogs.
Okay. Did he describe his injury at all?
He just said there was blood everywhere.
Dan, what was Chandler's demeanor or affect like when you discussed his missing parents?
At the time, he didn't seem very concerned. Just they were up north and everything seemed like it was fine to him, was my understanding.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Sir, in response to that last question about his demeanor, are you talking about or remembering talking to him in the driveway of the home? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Oh, the only thing that seemed off at that time was when he said there was a lot of blood, or there was blood everywhere. It was I felt kind of like he was looking through me, kind of like a glassy look. But other than that, everything seemed normal as far as how I knew Chandler.
We'll be right back after this quick break. If you want to skip the ads, you can join us at patreon.com/tapes from the dark side. While Krista spent her days working as a secretary, her husband, Bart, was a certified accountant and tax manager. Bart was 3 years younger than Krista, being 50 years old, Krista being 53. Bart was also born in Wisconsin, just like his wife, but he was from a town called Sheboygan, which, in addition to being extremely fun to say, is located a couple hours drive east from where he would eventually settle down to start a family in the town of Madison. That's where he met Krista. She grew up in Madison and went to high school there. Both her and Bart got their bachelor's degrees from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And shortly after Bart obtained his degree, they were married. That was 1994, and by all accounts, they had a happy, fulfilling home life. They went on to have 2 dogs who they named Izzy and Rizzo. They had a group of close friends. They liked to go to college football games and outdoor concerts. Bart was an avid golfer and was also immersed in the world of home remodeling. He almost always had a project going on. And when he disappeared, there were multiple rooms in the house that were under construction. Just a personal note, my dad is a project manager and he grew up as a carpenter. And so all through my childhood, I remember there always being something going on in the house, whether it was a remodel or an additional room being built. Bart feels like the kind of guy who could be my dad or your dad. He seemed to fit the archetype of the all-American dad. And if Bart was the American dad, Krista was undoubtedly the American mom. She loved arts and crafts. She was always cooking a homemade meal, and she greatly enjoyed interior decorating. Bart and Krista appeared to be devoted parents who worked extremely hard to give their 2 children every opportunity to succeed in life. We already know they had one son named Chandler, who was born in 1998 and was 23 years old when they went missing. But they also had another son born a year earlier named Mitchell Halderson. The 2 brothers were separated by only 18 months. Mitchell followed in his parents' footsteps and attended and graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison with a bachelor's degree in statistics. He moved out, got a full-time job, and a fiancée to boot. We'll later hear directly from Mitchell when he testifies in court in the murder case against his brother. But for now, I want to play for you the audio from another piece of courtroom testimony, and that's of Bart's brother, Brett Halderson. Clean-cut man who also has a clean-shaven face, sharp jawline. Brett appears to be in his mid-50s, a solemn look on his face, no doubt appropriate given the context.
Brett, your last name is Halderson. Were you related to Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes, Bart is my brother.
Were you the older brother, the younger brother?
I am an older brother by about 4 years.
Okay. So you knew Bart his entire life?
Yes.
And you knew Krista, Chandler, and Mitchell as well?
Yes.
What was your relationship like with Bart, Krista, and the kids?
General good relationship with them. We would have family get-togethers at holidays. We would talk over the phone occasionally, maybe send an occasional text message back and forth.
Okay. And how would you describe Bart and Krista as parents towards Mitchell and Chandler?
They were good parents, very nurturing. Krista was very involved with her children. I know it was mentioned like helicopter mom, but she was very attuned to everything that they were into. They were supportive in that anything they were involved in with school, with swimming. They were lifeguards. They promoted those things. They got them through Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts was very big in our family, and that followed through with them in raising their boys.
Okay. How did you learn about your brother and his wife being missing?
I believe the information went to my aunt and uncle, was referred over to my parents, and my parents gave me a call.
And Brett, just to put this in some context, what did you do as a career?
I worked as a police officer or deputy chief for the Menasha Police Department.
What did you do upon hearing that Bart and Krista were missing?
Initially, my first impression is statistically, they probably were out of phone range. Everything would be fine, and we were probably
locate them or have communication with them within the next couple hours. So at that time, I believe I made a phone call to them just to see if I could get a hold of them, try to get things straightened out as soon as I could.
What is the next thing you decided to do after that in regards to them being missing?
After that, I believe just to get more information, I made phone contact with Chandler just to see where they were expected to be, what was going on with their life, where they were going, and I guess to find out the different avenues where we'd be able to make contact with them.
And what did you learn from Chandler?
He had mentioned that they were going up north. I think the big piece of information that was valuable was that they had left with an unknown person or couple. I think the male was believed to be a Dan, and left in that person's vehicle. And with that information, I prompted him to try to find out who this Dan might be. I did even mention about finding if the neighbors across the street had a ring camera that may have got in that vehicle and a license plate that would be able to help us identify the person.
Did Chandler seem to take your advice, and was he able to answer your questions?
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, he had gone across the street, and then shortly after speaking with Mr. Kevin Linsmeyer, I received a phone call from Kevin Linsmeyer saying that he was over there, and just wanted to make sure that I was aware of everything that was going on.
If you'll recall, Brett said that he was a police officer, and coincidentally enough, Kevin Linsmeyer, one of the Halderson neighbors, was also a retired police detective of 31 years. Kevin had just retired that very year, and so he had plenty of time to spare. Kevin Linsmeyer knew that something was wrong almost immediately when Bart and Krista went missing. Maybe it was that police instinct kicking in. And so when Chandler came over to his house to see if the Ring doorbell camera had recorded anything suspicious, Mr. Linsmeyer decided to record the entire conversation with his phone, which we have a copy of. We'll play a little of that later. I think it's worth noting that if hypothetically someone had decided to target Bart and Krista for some kind of random act of violence or extortion, they managed to pick perhaps one of the worst couples they could have in Madison, Wisconsin, a target whose brother was a police officer and the immediate neighbor, a retired detective who was local to the area and suddenly had a lot of time on his hands. But for now, let's return to Bart's brother, Brett.
As we spoke, and I guess was prodding for more and more information, he did reveal that there was health problems. I was aware of my brother having psoriasis and some arthritis related to that, but he did bring up the information that Krista had some type of cancer that he was recently made aware of, as well as, I believe, the small stroke. And with that, it opened up the possibility that they may have gone somewhere to receive treatment for that and maybe just hadn't been giving that information to the family because they wanted to keep that personal.
Okay. During the course of all these different discussions you're having with Chandler, at any point does he float the idea to you that perhaps they're out drinking somewhere?
I don't believe that ever came up, no.
Does he ever explain to you that they took a bunch of tools and a large amount of cash to the cabin?
I believe he mentioned the tools and the cash as far as going up to the cabin to do some repairs, yes.
Did he mention the possibility of a casino trip to you?
He did not mention anything about a casino, and I'm not familiar with my brother or Krista ever visiting casinos for entertainment.
With your brother being a CPA, did it seem likely to you whether or not he'd have a large amount of cash on hand in a safe in his home?
Knowing my brother, I've never known him to have a large amount of cash on his person or in his home. He would have kept that, I would believe, more secure.
Mr. Halderson, when was the last time you talked to your brother, Bart?
It would have been the morning of July 1st.
Is there any reason you remember that date?
Because that's my birthday. Our family makes it a ritual of contacting each other on our birthdays. And that was the phone call that he had made to me that morning.
Is that the last time you spoke to your brother?
Yes.
No further questions.
A large amount of cash, a recent cancer diagnosis, box of liquor, tools, and a last-minute casino trip. What do all of these seemingly disparate things have in common? Well, they're all separate explanations given by Chandler Halderson to explain his parents' sudden disappearance. To some people, he told there was a sudden issue at the cabin that his dad Bart had to go take care of immediately. Others, he told there was a couple of friends who they went with to go and gamble and party. And to other people, he gave an entirely different story about his mother having a recent cancer diagnosis, which does seem to be true. And that the reason they went to the cabin was to get away and try to process the sudden medical news, hence the box of liquor they supposedly took with them. But which version of the story was the truth, if any of it? No matter which story you pick, there's one thing that didn't fit, a detail that we've already discussed, and that's that Krista had no called and no showed for work on Friday, July 2nd. Finally, on the day of the holiday, Sunday, July 4th, there seemed to emerge a ray of hope from the black cloud surrounding the situation. It appeared that perhaps Chandler was right and there really was no reason to worry, because Krista suddenly sent a text to her son Chandler, a message that would become crucial to this investigation. I'll tell you exactly what that text said, but let's first review the history of Chandler's text messages from his mother to him from July 2nd, the day she officially went missing, to July 7th. Friday, July 2nd, no text messages were exchanged. Saturday, July 3rd at 4:47 p.m., the first time Chandler texts his mom to check on her and Bart. Quote, "Hope this goes through. I bet there's a lot of people up there making it hard to message." No reply that day from Krista, and no further text from Chandler on that day. Sunday, July 4th at 11:04 a.m., the first time Krista texts Chandler, or anyone, since her disappearance. Quote, "Made it safely, can't get anything through, and yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade, and we'll be home Monday night, Tuesday early. Love you lots." No text response from Chandler on that day. Monday, July 5th, no text from Chandler. No text from Krista, the second day of Krista missing work without calling. Tuesday, July 6th, no text from Chandler, no text from Krista. The third consecutive day of Krista, no calling, no showing. And finally, on Wednesday, July 7th, at 12:52 p.m., Chandler to his mother Krista, quote, "Hey, I'm worried. At the police station. Can you text or call?" Besides for this seeming lack of concern Chandler shows for his parents in these texts, there was another glaring issue with their exchange, specifically Krista's message, the one she sent on July 4th at 11 a.m., going to White Lake today for the parade. The White Lake 4th of July celebration was held on Saturday, July 3rd. In fact, as far as I could find on their website and Instagram pages, White Lake has always celebrated the holiday on Saturday, which is something that if you spent summers at a cabin in Langley County, you'd simply know. Which leaves us with one question. If Krista Halderson didn't send that text message, then who did? Coming up on Tapes from the Darkside, Mitchell Halderson, Chandler's older brother, decides to get to the bottom of the whole situation.
We are out with the Halderson's son and his fiance, and we'll be taking a walk around the property with them.
10-4.
Before you turn this podcast off, I have something to tell you. By the way, I'm TZ. I'm the creator and the narrator of this show. We're trying out something new. This feed will only contain the episodes that pertain to this particular case. So if this is all you want to hear, just this one case, then you don't have to do anything. Just subscribe to this feed and you'll get all the episodes about the Halderson case. But if you enjoy this style of true crime storytelling and you want more free episodes just like this one, then search Tapes from the Darkside in your podcast app. That's our main feed where we have all the episodes for every season, including this one. That's over 50 free episodes. Again, all you have to do is search Tapes from the Darkside and tap subscribe. Thank you for listening. Now to the credits. Huge thank you to Augusta Trevorum, who created the music you're hearing right now. I cannot say enough good things about Augusta. His music is such an integral part of Tapes from the Darkside. I urge you to go follow him on Spotify and SoundCloud. The name is a little tricky. You can find it in the show notes. Again, it's Augusta Trevorum. Also, thank you to 2600, who created the music that we adapted for our main theme. Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. We read out our producers each episode. Thank you, Fiona Gibson, Jody C., Sundine Ray, Ilse Catalan, Mallory Bitterman, Santana Savine, Noah Schultz, Olivia Schmid, Gina Oibunko, Sherry Sly, Shelley Jones, Alexis Kathleen, and Greg Borden. Thank you to our new $9 supporter, Andrea Greer Zugolder, and our new $5 members, Carrie Link US, Jeremy Harvey, Miyaj Lopez, Robbie, Kevin, TC, Audrey Bauer, Easton C. Hawk, Jessica Norris, Melanie Lynn Kemmerer, Leslie Butenschuhen, Kelly Ripley Feller, Jade DeMoss, Nick Stedman, Colin Kniff, Meme Here I Am, Genevieve Heald, and Charlie Ann. If you support us at the $5 and up membership tiers, you can hear your name read on the next episode. Thank you to Rottweiler Investigations on YouTube for much of the original footage that you heard featured in this episode. Thank you to the Law and Crime Network and Court TV who filmed the trial. And lastly, thank you to every single person who listens. I truly appreciate you taking the time to tune into the show. Without you, I would just be a crazy person sitting in a room by myself, rambling away till all hours of the night. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions or comments, you can always get in touch with me at tapesfromthedarksidepod@gmail.com. And until next time, try to enjoy the daylight.
Please hold. Hello, this is a free call from
Chandler Halderson.
an inmate from the Dane County Jail. To accept this free call, press 0. To refuse, this call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Am I on speaker?
For me, yeah. I can take you off.
Oh, no.
You're off speaker.
Yeah. Who are you talking? Or what are you doing?
I'm fishing right now, but I really got to pee, so I'm like walking in circles, and it's a little easier when I don't have to hold the phone in my ear. Yeah, let's see like a squirrel.
How's your day going?
It's good, you know. I'm cool. Fishing.
Sounds
good. It's nothing fancy. Something very cheap.
Miss you.
I miss you too. Miss you more.
Doubt it.
I do.
I get another free 5 minutes tomorrow.
Okay. When do you want to call?
I mean, we waited the entire week to call this time, so we could wait till middle of the week.
Okay. Like a Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. Either works.
Best part of the week? Christmas?
So, I got fun points for the week.
You got what?
Do you have plans for the week?
Danny's staying with us while he's in Madison. So he's kind of like helping unload the house and stuff. Like we moved almost everything from our old house yesterday.
Okay.
We got like a lot of furniture moved, so it's just little stuff left that can be moved in cars.
Oh, why is he home and not Abigail? Something happened?
No, Abigail's in school, remember?
Oh, okay.
Danny isn't, and he saved up a lot of money during the pandemic while working.
Oh.
So he's on vacation. Saw his grandma.
All right.
Yeah. So he's just staying with us while he visits friends. Because, you know, we're like a clean home. In Madison.
Yeah.
I miss you.
Yeah, I'd like to go fishing with you too right now.
Yeah. Nice weather for it. Wearing shorts and a sweater.
Yeah, it's good weather. Yeah, it sucks. I'm missing fall. That's my favorite season.
Oh. We'll be out in time for spring, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so too. I don't like spring though.
Well, let's just up because we want you out by spring. It's a really nice dam in Stoughton.
Stoughton?
Mhm.
You're in Stoughton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's where Danny's from, so he knows all the little watering holes around here.
Oh, okay.
I just know tiny little ponds where there's small game.
All right. Nice.
Oh my God, there's geese. Like a goose, but they're like fully white.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah.
It's like a farm-raised goose.
Mhm. But it's like running around wild.
That's strange.
It is. They're like walking in a line.
That's odd.
You have 1 minute remaining.
What was that?
All right, when you're, it says we have 1 minute left, but when you're out, I think we should go fishing and have coffee and make lunch and then have a whole day of just outside fishing. And we could wear our hats and sunglasses, and I can bring sunscreen because you burn quick. My little tortilla.
I love you.
I love you more.
I'll talk
nice
to you
hearing your
later
voice.
tonight. Oh, yeah, it is
Okay.
nice hearing your voice, too. Keep talking.
Okay, sleep well. Wrap yourself like a burrito in a blanket. It's very nice. It should start getting colder. It's getting pretty chilly outside. Like, I can't really walk around that much anymore because it's getting cold. I wear pants, like, all the time. I just wear, the amount of times I've worn your sweater and pants to bed is kind of getting gross. And
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
The dark side. A dark side.
What? Darkside! Darkside!
I'm glad you're home.
Get the hell out of my house. In Jesus' name, I pray.